I've got a short clip of it. We'll play it, and we'll see if there's anything to make of it. As far as I'm concerned, you can still say what you want to say, but ultimately understand that the blowback is going to come, but then it just further perpetuates the culture war, and that's the type of crap that like I said, I have absolutely no patience for. So here we go.
49ers.
That is now 9 consecutive makes from outside 50 for Butker.
But this morning, Harrison Butker is making headlines for his remarks off the field during a commencement address at Benedictine College, a conservative Catholic liberal arts school in Kansas.
It is safe to say that over the past few years, I've gained quite the reputation for speaking my mind.
Butker sounding off about working women.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
Butker then referring to Pride Month, which celebrates the LGBTQ community as a deadly sin.
Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify him.
You know, honest to God, and to me, this is the real problem that I have. It's one thing if we lived in a society today where the mother can afford to have being a stay-at-home mother and raise the children. That does not exist anymore. Even in these rural parts of the United States, like a state like Missouri, it's not like that. And so for him to go out there and make these statements, granted, he's also a multimillionaire, so it's a hell of a lot easier to make those statements because for him, his wife can stay at home and take care of their children. But the average person cannot do that. And Benedictine, I believe it's a Catholic institution. There's a number of college. It's a college system, but there's a number of Benedictines around the United States. This just happens to be one that was close enough by for him to go and speak at, and he is a Christian. But this idea that women don't want to work. All right, listen. I'm sure that there are women that want to stay home and take care of their children without question, but you can't afford to do it. And so denying the economic realities of this time and just saying, well, you've been lied to. You just don't want to. You are being told that you need to work when you don't really need to. And all I'm thinking is they don't have that choice. And that is what's being missed here. It ends up turning into this culture war bullshit when we should be talking about the economic ramifications of why a mother can't stay home and take care of her fucking kids.
Peter, I mean, that's really what the essence of Make America Great Again is supposed to be, is what you're just saying there. I have no problem with anything Butker said, and I agree with you 100%. So now that he said that, what's really the conversation? The conversation is about him being misogynistic or, sexist or something like that. No, I didn't get that. But what you're saying there absolutely is the takeaway. What person other than people who are very well off are able to live that life where their wife can just be at home? And that's the problem. And I think you should have, not that what women should have to be at home, they should have that option more frequently. And I know it wasn't there for everybody back in the day, but, we just came up on, the 4th anniversary of George Floyd recently?
Yes.
Steve Bannon has one of the best takes on the best take I've ever heard on George Floyd. And he went the angle you're talking about. He said, I don't even want to talk about the police brutality or anything like this. Let's look at it from this standpoint. What if there were jobs in America, like maybe years ago, there's a factory in Minnesota. Who knows if George Floyd or someone like George Floyd would have had good job right out of high school, good paying job, maybe even have a wife, kids, and even a lake house up in northern Minnesota if we kind of focused on America more than anything else, giving money to Israel and all this other, in Ukraine and all this other stuff. So I think that's a great take. I might have to do a segment on that. I might cut you up. I might clip this up, Peter. That's the takeaway. I love it.
And I do think that his look, the ignorance that comes out of the Christian right, particularly when it comes to LGBTQ, this is where the line has to get drawn. If that is what you believe, that is perfectly fine. You can believe whatever you want to believe. The second you start making it policy and affecting people's ability to live, that's where you're fucked up, and that's where there is no tolerance. That has always been my biggest gripe with the GOP. There are a lot of issues that I take with that side, but there is no bigger issue I have with the GOP than the evangelical right that controls a significant portion of the base.
I've had problems with the people on the right as well. I mean, gender affirming care is one of those things where I said if parents in consultation with the doctor and their child decide to do a medical treatment, it has nothing to do with me. I don't need to legislate. Why would I legislate against that? That they're making their own decision for their own family. And I think you're right. That's where it crosses the line. But it can cross the line both ways, though. I don't want, it's almost like they want to legislate verbiage and different stuff with it. No, I don't need that. But I agree with you completely. We don't need to legislate this stuff for each other. We need to kind of localize that. We don't need federal legislation for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the worst thing that I still remember when it came to Matt Walsh's crusade with the "What is a Woman?" And don't get me wrong, I'm dead set against the Dylan Mulvaney's and the swimmer getting the person
Leah Thomas, yeah.
Leah Thomas. I'm totally against that shit. But when you say that there's 2 million adolescents in this country that are trying to go through a sex change, and in reality, it's the number that's closer to 6,000. I have a real problem with that, because that's that level of propaganda that should be completely intolerable for anybody. And unfortunately, the rage machine works very well on the right financially. There are guys that make a lot of money doing this. And I know you've had some favorable things to say about the likes of Nick Fuentes. I would not. I think he's scum, but that's me. We're not going to agree on everything. I also think that it's easy to point these fingers and say the right thing because, look, Trump says the right thing a lot of the time. Doesn't mean he actually means it. Doesn't mean that he's actually going to advocate for the things that need to be advocated for. But that's the whole point of this segment and why I think it's very important. There are things that anyone is allowed to say if that's what they truly believe. I don't have a problem with Harrison Butker being a conservative Christian. I think that that's perfectly acceptable. I think it's even acceptable that you think a mother should be at home and taking care of her children. But what you're not going to hear from him is how things have gotten so bad in this country that mothers can't stay home and take care of their kids anymore because they can't afford it. Because that would go against the very capitalist construct that we're living in right now, in which he has made himself a very wealthy man. So going against that,